Hello, I'm Sausius, and in this video I want to talk about an event at which the world was terrifyingly close to all-out nuclear war. Despite the fact that the world was very close to what would have probably been the most catastrophic event in human history that day, the event is not often talked about. I'm talking about what would become known as the Norwegian rocket incident or the Black Brand Scare. The event took place on January the 25th, 1995, when a Black Brand 12 four-stage sounding rocket was launched by a team of Norwegian and US-American scientists. The sounding rocket was launched from the Enduria rocket range of the northwestern coast of Norway. The rocket carried scientific equipment and was intended to conduct research on the aurora borealis over Svalbard. The rocket flew on a high northbound trajectory. This trajectory included an air corridor that stretches from Minuteman III nuclear missile silos in North Dakota all the way to the Russian capital city of Moscow. During its flight, the rocket reached a peak altitude of 1,453 kilometers or 903 miles. During its ascent, the rocket was detected by the Olenogorsk early warning radar station in Murmansk Oblast, Russia. When the rocket first appeared on the screens of the radar operators, it appeared similar in speed and flight pattern to a submarine-launched US-made Trident nuclear missile. If the rocket indeed would have been a Trident nuclear missile, it was possible that it was intended to explode at a very high altitude. Such a high altitude nuclear blast could have caused an electromagnetic pulse, or EMP for short. This EMP would have been caused by the gamma rays and other ionizing radiation caused by the nuclear explosion in the upper atmosphere. Such an EMP could have had disastrous consequences, as it would have disabled Russian radar systems, or at least severely crippled them, and it would have also disabled or severely crippled other military as well as civilian infrastructure, of course severely hampering Russia's chances of defending a future attack by the Americans that would follow soon after. This effect of a high-altitude nuclear blast was first observed by the US during nuclear weapon testing in the late 1950s and early 1960s, more specifically during Operation Hardtack 1 in 1958 and Operation Fishbowl in 1962. The Soviets had also conducted a similar test in 1962. Such experiments were outlawed, however, in 1963 through the Partial Nuclear Weapon Test Ban Treaty, or PDBT for short. But all of this really is a story for another day, and all you need to know right now is that such a high-altitude nuclear blast would have had severely crippled Russian military infrastructure, leaving them vulnerable to an attack by the Americans. Not only did the rocket initially appear similar in speed and flight pattern to a Trident nuclear missile, but after stage separation the rocket appeared very similar to multiple independently targetable re-entry vehicles as they would have been deployed by a nuclear missile on Russian radar screens. The Russian radar operators were under intense pressure as they only had 10 minutes to decide on what to do, because that's the time that such a rocket would have needed to reach mainland Russia if it were to have been launched from the Barents Sea, which is where the rocket was launched from. Thankfully, the radar operators eventually realized that the rocket was in fact heading away from mainland Russia rather than towards it. But before the radar operators realized this, however, a full alert was passed up through the military ranks all the way to Boris Yeltsin, then president of the Russian Federation. The Shazhet, which is the Russian equivalent to the nuclear football, was automatically activated, and Boris Yeltsin activated his nuclear keys for the first time. Furthermore, Russian submarine commanders were ordered to go into a state of combat readiness and prepare for nuclear retaliation. Interestingly, this incident marks the only time at which the nuclear briefcase of any nuclear weapon state was activated and prepared for launching an attack. During the following investigation, it became known that the scientists had in fact notified 30 neighboring countries, including Russia, of the planned launch. But the information was lost in bureaucracy and never made it to the Russian radar operators. There are differing opinions on whether Yeltsin was actually close to authorizing a counterattack, but it's generally believed that he was not, because Yeltsin's nuclear football, or the Shazhet as it is called in Russia, would have shown him detailed information on the situation collected by early warning radar and satellite systems. These informations would have probably indicated that there was no real attack by the Americans. Furthermore, an attack at this point by the Americans would have not made any sense, but it was a close call nonetheless. The event also raised serious concerns about the quality of the former Soviet Union's early warning radar systems. Of course, there were several similar events to this, most of them happening during the Cold War, but these are a topic for another day, and maybe I'm going to talk about some of these in a future video. I hope you found this video interesting, and if so, please give it a like, and I'll see you hopefully next time.